Sanad Al-Ajrami is a Palestinian-Canadian university student, and for him, the war in Gaza feels personal.
On my mom and dad's side of the family, we've had deaths on both sides.
He's here for a pro-Palestinian rally organized by the York University student unions. He says he was pushed and physically hurt at another campus rally and that university did little to protect him. York Student Union released a pro-Palestinian statement last week. He says it made him feel better.
When I saw that statement as a Palestinian student, that was honestly, it felt like the first time I had really seen somebody actually say, we have the right to exist, we have the right to live.
But that statement has angered many. It called the Hamas attack on Israeli civilians resistance efforts that are a direct response to the ongoing and violent occupation of Palestine. This student believes it's York University that has shown a lack of empathy for Palestinians caught in the war.
Right away, York denounced the killing of Israeli civilians, but until now, they haven't done so for Palestinian civilians. It makes me feel, as a Palestinian, one, dehumanized, and that they don't value Palestinian lives the same way that they do Israeli lives.
York University gave the three major student unions a deadline to retract the statement or face possible removal of official union status. The unions did not budge.
It's been tough, very frustrating and concerning at the same time.
Not 50 meters away from the protest, Jacob Berman, a Jewish student at York, says the university has done what it can to make him feel safe, but that he and other Jewish students feel alarmed by the stance of the student unions.
We kind of keep our heads on a swivel. There's often times where students will just come up to us because of it and call us out for it. A few days ago, people were holding an Israeli flag and people walked by and just started calling us terrorists for it.
York is not the only institution going through upheaval. From McGill to Concordia to Toronto Metropolitan University, there were protests too. At TMU, a letter signed by about 70 law students prompted some calls for their expulsion. The letter, which has since been removed from the internet, said, "We assert that Hamas's attack was a direct result of Israel's 75-year-old systemic campaign to eradicate Palestinians." Words that caused pain to Malka Daniels, a Jewish student at TMU.
So their letter was not only filled with misinformation, but just really harmful rhetoric and was created in very poor taste, unfortunately.
Adam Muller is an expert in peace and conflict studies.
What we're seeing, I think, is administrators struggling to find the right kind of balance that on the one hand does justice to the suffering of the individuals that we see daily on television and at the same time restrains us enough so that when we express our positions on that suffering, on the conflict, we do so in ways that don't harm other people.
It's a balance nobody really knows how to strike at this point. Professor Shannon Day investigates how universities manage academic freedom and free expression. She says universities should tread carefully before imposing harsh punishments on students or organizations.
I think that every time there's a rupture in a relationship like this where the university needs to strongly intervene or feels that it needs to strongly intervene, it makes it all the more difficult to have the good, careful, trusting conversations in the future. We are going to continue to see these kinds of conflicts on an ongoing basis.
York University is moving ahead with a formal process to determine if three student unions breached inclusion rules in their statement. It's something that doesn't sit well with Palestinian students and their allies.
I don't feel comfortable properly expressing my solidarity with my people, my grief with the massacre that's happening against my people, when they're constantly trying to suppress those voices.
As the war thousands of kilometers away make Canadian campuses a land divided.
So, Deanna, when we talk about university responses, many Jewish students are really unhappy with how their institutions are handling these incidents. Let's talk about that a bit.
Absolutely, Adrienne. So take Western University, for example. Jewish students put up posters of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Two young men, presumably students, were seen taking them down, and that video was posted on social media, but nothing really happened as a result. And we've seen similar examples off campus of people taking down similar posters. So this kind of stuff is happening.
And lots of people saying they're feeling unsafe.
Yeah, that the university is not doing enough.
So also, interestingly, looking at the United States, to hear the White House say that they're going to tackle anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on campuses, what's the plan?
So the majority of the plan was targeting anti-Semitism specifically. One of the measures they'll do is they're promising a partnership between federal law enforcement and campus law enforcement to track hate speech, for example. One thing that they're going to do for Islamophobia and anti-Semitism is that they will expedite complaints by students using the help of a federal agency. So those are some of the promises. Just today, Cornell University, of course, a major Ivy League school, started an investigation because there was an online threat of violence against Jewish students posted in an online forum.
All right, Deanna, thank you.
Thanks.